Good afternoon. This is Freddie Gillespie, the chair of the Southborough Open Space Preservation Commission. Karen Savicevich is going to read the required statement from the MassGov on having remote meetings. Can you read that, Karen?
Yes. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A-18, and Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict restrictions on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Open Space Preservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found in the town of Southborough's website, and also at the www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting in southborough.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, and other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you, Karen. I have a situation where Mike Bartolini is trying to get in, but his link is telling him it's an advisory meeting and he can't get in. Is Melissa?
I'll email them the link. So Tim must have put the wrong one up on the website. I can't change that, unfortunately. I don't have the
Okay.
online to do that, but I will send it to his email if you want.
All right. I'll tell him to look for it. He texted me. And that will be a minute. But we can put the agenda up, please, Karen.
Sure. I'm just wondering, can we, Melissa, copy the invite link for him? Would that work? I'm just noticing.
She's sending him in an email.
All right, perfect.
But there's nothing he can do to see it.
Share my screen and we can take a look at the agenda.
All right.
Can you all see that there?
Yep. So the first thing on the agenda is the minutes, and the minutes we are looking at today, we have for our minutes, I want this to be recorded. We have an old set we are working on as soon as possible from December to submit. And I'm wondering if we want to see if we can get a senior or somebody to help take our minutes for us. Do you guys agree that I can ask for that? If we can find
Sure, that would be great. I'm just making a duplicate copy of our agenda here so I can be taking minutes as we're meeting and not interfering with the share. So if you saw me do that, that was the reason why.
Okay.
Yes, we do have the December minutes, which I need to type up from a recording. But other than that, we should be completely up to date with minutes. I did send the draft minutes from our last meeting in February.
Correct. We'll get those in a minute. I just want to be on the record that we are aware we have some from December, and due to a situation, we are working on them. And then as follow up to that, let's see if we can get someone to help. And I've just heard that Mike is in. That's great. Welcome, Mike.
Sure.
I wonder if other people are out there that can't get in. There's nothing I can do about it. They'll have to watch the recording.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah.
The other thing is the minutes for February 5th. We're going to review those. And were there any edits from Karen or Sarah?
From the February 5th minutes? I didn't have any edits, but I'm happy to. I have them up on my other screen right now. I can make any edits to the minutes that you all would suggest.
I was fine with it.
Okay.
So is there a motion to accept the minutes from February 5th, 2021?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from February 5th, 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Karen?
Karen Svikovich in favor.
Sarah?
Sarah Rossitano in favor.
And Freddie Gillespie, I'm in favor as well. So we're going to move on to the definitive subdivision and lid special permit for, you can move that agenda off now, Karen.
Great.
Um,
And I do have those documents up, Freddie. If you need me to share them at any point, I'm happy to do that.
I may, do you happen to have there was some language, I don't know if we got all that. It was in a bound book I got when I was at the townhouse.
Yeah, everything that you sent, I downloaded here, so I do have that. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Mike, glad you're in.
All right, good. How you doing?
Good. We're happy to have you here. So there's a couple of things.
So if you want me to share that verbiage, Freddie, at any point, I can. I have that
Yeah,
here.
I'm trying to find which one it is because there's a lot of paperwork I'm looking through right now. And I have a few questions based on my overview of this, which it's the low impact development plan. And so let me get my head on straight, which I have a splitting headache, so bear with me.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's what it is.
Hmm.
The first thing I wanted to say is I had sent out the requirements for the open space in this type of subdivision. And there's two types in the zoning code, type A or type B. And type A is, we did this recommendation for the Chestnut Hill subdivision, Chestnut Hill Road. I think it's called Dairy Farms, where we had them set aside a lot in its natural condition for 3 years. And that was based on the narrow strip. You remember, you were here, Karen, you recall this.
I do remember this. Yes. Yeah.
We felt the narrow strip was didn't provide the value that we would like, and this was another alternative, and this would have been a better one, even though it was only for 3 years. And that was also based on how difficult it is to monitor and manage those narrow strips. And it was very similar, the 20-foot no-touch, the no-touch zone. But I will also say, this commission looks at each individual project separately. Just because we made that recommendation then doesn't mean we would here. And one of the big differences here that I'm looking at now is this area is in already wooded. It's not, I think the Chestnut Hill property was like a big open field, and that always leads to problems of, well, let's just mow it a little more where the lawn is, let's just go back. We ran into that in other subdivisions. So saying that, I just want us to take a fresh look at this because that's a component of what we will decide today, but it is also, there's some new information on this lower impact development portion of the bylaw. And I had a few questions. If everyone's okay, I'm going to ask Michael a couple of things.
Great.
All right, Michael, you ready? There's a prize involved if you get all the answers right. The plans I'm looking at and have a version. Let me grab it.
Do you?
I was looking at the big plan because that was easier for me. But so, can you hear that rustling paper? There is a plan C-201, and it's a demolition plan A, and then there's a demolition plan B, C-202. And then there's the same thing, Plan A, Plan B in 601 and 602. And before we look at individuals, is this because you added a new plan in and you're offering both, or what's the difference between Plan A and B?
To be totally honest with you, I don't have that in front of me. So give me a second. I didn't get, sorry, there wasn't, I just found out about the meeting not that long ago, so my engineer couldn't be here. So if you give me 1 second, let me grab that plan, but
Yeah,
if
and I
you
apologize.
I can, if you let me share my screen.
Yep.
I can show you essentially what we're planning to do. So just, can I do that, or is that?
I think that might be a better way to start, you going over what you're planning to do than me asking questions. You might
Sure.
answer my question.
Okay, so
Then you
let
won't
me
get the prize though.
apologize.
Yeah.
I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
Let me share this real quick.
All right.
Actually, Freddie, I think if I'm understanding you correctly, I think the only difference between A and B is that B is just the lower portion of the lot. It's just a different view of the plan set.
Well, I thank you. So this connects, is it at a different scale? Because it looks awfully big.
It could be. I think one's a blown out version. And then you get to.
All right. Thank you. That helps.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Mhm.
Okay. So basically, I don't have the lower section of it. Like I said, this is what we put together for it, but the open space runs along this line. It pops out in areas over here. For the conservation meeting, we did a lot of pullback on the amount of fill and the limit of work that we did. So there's an extensive area in these sections that we've added that we're not planning on touching. We added a large area over here. I know that for the lid, we added a large swale in this section.
Where are you? Wait a second. I can't see your cursor.
Sorry.
Squiggle it around.
See it?
What's that big green area that you were just at?
So this was a section that we added that we've added to the limit of work. So we're not going to be, this is to remain undisturbed as we work. So this section here, this is what we previously had, the lighter green.
Uh-huh.
The darker green is sections that we've added that during construction, we're not going to touch. So
Is that associated with any wetlands?
this is all dry. Everything up
Okay.
here
That's what
is
I
out
thought.
of the 100-foot buffer. The 100-foot buffer is this green line here.
And what's that beige thing on the right?
This here. So this is, give me 1 second. It's this. So there's a gravel road in there where the logging.
Oh, that's the
work used to be.
existing. Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
the idea, and this is, I'm going to restore this, or me and my brothers, we're planning on restoring it. So right now, the way we have it to the planning board was that we were going to lumen seed it. I was actually, in speaking with you guys from the last time, I know we have a wildlife seed mix, which actually incorporates a lot of your pollinators. So we were probably going to take this section here, either fill it with pollinators, or we were going to use potentially, I think you had some of the host trees would be like the eastern red cedar, because a lot of it's evergreen now. And then this section here will remain wooded and untouched. And this section here it's wooded now. The issue with it is that it's full of garbage, wood chips. I'd like to clean it and fix it and put it back to something that it should be.
Yeah.
Or at least have the ability to do that, instead of just saying it's going to be undisturbed. Because it's just, as of right now, it's full of like sheet metal and just junk.
Yeah, construction site looking.
Right.
Industrial site, I should say, not construction site.
Yes. So we added a bioretention area here.
Where are you
We
now?
added right here in the circle.
In the middle of the cul-de-sac. I was interested, that was one of my questions.
Correct. So the way
Is that going to
works-
be planted?
Yes, we're going to plant that with, I forget the exact things that he said. He told me a while ago and I'm not there, but it's going to be the native plants. I do know the butterfly milkweed's in there. And I think there's a couple other native plants that will be in there.
So let me ask a question. The bioretention area is different than a rain garden by
Correct.
construction. And I saw that you need to get some waivers and all of that, but it sounds like it's I shouldn't say in all of that. There's, that's not clear that it meets the turnaround radius or something, but if you get the,
No, it does. So we actually have, I think in the planning board submittal, it meets the turning requirements for a fire engine.
right, I saw that.
For fire and safety apparatus.
I guess you were asking for a waiver for some other reason then, but I'm just making a point that it's not guaranteed that you're doing that just because it's on the plan until they approve it. But
Correct.
so there's plantings going on in the middle of the bioretention area. And then you're having seeding up here. And then where I was more interested in, what about, and it's off your plan there, I'm going to probably call it the wrong thing, the stormwater detention basin. What are you calling
Yep.
that? Is that what you're calling it?
This is the retention, the infiltration basin.
Infiltration basin. So what is the landscaping there and what's going on around it? Because you're going to have to, it abuts up to the open space. And then it's not in the open space, but you'll be doing some grading and stuff in that area, I imagine. So what's the plan after you do the grading there?
Right. So I don't actually think that it abuts the open space. So I know it's near it, but I don't.
That's
think
what I'm,
it's-
okay, so abut is the wrong word. It's close to?
Yep. I do know, I don't have it in front of me, but we did do that wildlife mix for conservation. We did a portion of it in this area here.
Where are you?
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Down to the, I guess that's the western side of it.
Mhm.
To the exact extent of it, I don't have it in front of me, but I do know that's there. I think this is going to be lawn and seeded here.
Lawn in
but
the backyard where that little, behind that house, you mean?
Correct.
But the whole yellow area, that's all part of the detention.
That's part of the
Infiltration.
infiltration system. Yeah.
Let me learn my terms. Infiltration system. Okay. So the conservation mix you're talking about, is that from New England wetland plants? Where's
I
the
believe
source
it
of that?
is.
Okay, because there was another plant list that somebody had once, and it sounded great until you checked out all the seeds, and just because they say it is doesn't mean it is. Like it wasn't native, so New England wetland plants is good if that's where your source is.
I believe that is actually where it's from. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
I do know for the planting list, we did include your gear list plus our engineers
Great.
native list as well.
What do you mean you included it? You chose plants from it, is what you mean?
So in terms of what we were going to plant on site, the list that we're going to take from to do plantings on site, the gear list is a part of it.
Well, that's wonderful to hear.
And then we did go to,
You'll be getting a plaque.
Now she
trying to make
gets
up
the
for not
prize,
getting the
right?
prize at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are doing, along the road, we are planting the 31 street trees. We actually went with the red oaks, which were also on the gear list.
Really?
They're the host plant.
And are they also on the town street tree list for the road
Yes, they
list?
are.
The Open Space Commission had a role to play in that as well. So
Okay.
we're very happy with that. And we're very happy whenever one list coincides with the other, because with the Dr. G. Gear list of plants for at-risk species of pollinators, that is the word we use. It's a dynamic and evolving list. It's based on research. So having the oak tree in there is great. So, because at first we just had like perennials because it was not as extensive a list as it is today. So my next question, this is the tougher one. You may not have these, and if Karen has it, I'm looking at,
I have a couple things you sent me, Freddie.
well, I sent you everything I got. So
Yeah.
where was I? Everything got folded up. I'm looking for the one with the trees earmarked on it.
Yep.
So, oh yeah, I'm still at COTO. Sorry, C 201 and 202. It's the same plan. So you have all these trees highlighted there. Is that you went out and took an
Is this the
inventory?
one, Freddie, where it says shared spaces, park and history walk? I have that up if you need it.
No.
Okay, all right.
I don't know where shared spaces.
Like a bigger plan in there.
I don't know. That's nothing to do with today's discussion.
Okay, all right.
That must be a mistake. Did I send you the wrong? This was sent a long time ago when I got it from the planning department. Anyhow, you don't have to necessarily look at it to answer my questions.
Folded? No.
There's all these trees. They're
Roll.
all the 12-inch or greater. That's correct from what I read?
Yes, everything that we located was a 12-inch or greater tree.
And then-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but there's two things. It says TBR -TYP, and the TBR is to be removed. What does the
Correct.
TYP stand for? Tough question. Okay.
I think it means typical. So I think to remain. So you're talking right here. Do you see that? So
No,
to
where's your-
remain typical, I think means that's the symbol. And
Oh.
to remain typical, that's the symbol for deciduous, and that's the symbol for spruce. So
What would
just
what would the remain look like? Because I'm seeing TBR is to be removed, I would imagine,
So
right?
what you're seeing on this design is the remaining. So
That's 401.
yeah, so if you look
Okay.
at it,
That's much better.
Like, I have the plan I think that Freddie's talking about. Do you want me to put that up?
No, now that I see 401,
Okay,
402, that's much better.
okay.
The other one, it was like, it was a lot of trees to be looking at. So the question is, you have within the proposed limit of work, all the trees are staying there because you're not working in there. Is that correct?
right. So, I mean, if you're looking for figures, we are, I believe, saving, hold on. Within the new design you see here, I just got these numbers, so hold on one sec. I mean, the lot was cleared quite a bit, obviously as a logging facility, like an industrial use. It was cleared quite a bit, but total area of the entire site, we are retaining 48% of all trees 12 inches or greater. So, I mean, there is a pocket of trees, unfortunately, that are on this giant knob here. That's would be the
Where's the
largest.
giant knob?
The giant knob's like right here in the middle of the road.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you can't build roads around trees, can you?
No. So that's really the only large spruce area that was removed. But we're retaining, I believe, in total, 72% of the trees in the buffer and 48% of all trees 12 inches or greater overall. And I would say if you were to be on the site, this section here, the section that was logged, there are not very many trees under 12 inches. And that's specifically because he would move his machines in and out and about. He would literally park his machines over here in people's backyards and line of sight. But I can essentially drive an excavator from here to here and not have to turn. But majority of your trees that are under 12 inches would be in the buffer or in this section.
Okay.
And that's just a factor of the way the land was used in past experiences. I mean, this entire section, like I can show you, let me grab a picture of what this section looks like over here. So this right here is where the cul-de-sac's going to be. There isn't this section here. That's all within, I think a lot of that's within the areas that we're saving. I mean, until we get in there, I mean, we'll try and save some more trees here and there. This is the section that I'm talking about that has like a wooded area along the stone wall, but as you can see, it's full of junk.
Yeah.
And then there's like literally just piles of wood chips, like 5 feet deep, covering trees. I mean, that's that bottom section.
So this is over by where the street is, and now I want to talk about over by where the open space and the buffer zone.
Right, that would be
Okay.
the treat area in the back that you saw in the back there.
Yeah, so I'm going to read this out of your dated February 18th. It's from Bowler. Definitive subdivision application, lower impact development, special permit. 96 Mount Vickery Road. On the second page, like the second bullet down, it says, proposed homes, first bullet on that page. Proposed homes have been placed at the front yard setback, and the amount of grading behind the homes has been minimized to reduce the amount of land disturbance while providing usable yard space for future homeowners. So that sounds great. So you have streets, when you build a subdivision, you have to leave a certain amount of front yard. And you actually move the houses closer to that instead of having a large front yard. Is that how I'm reading this correctly?
Right. So you have the street,
Mhm.
and then outside of the street, there's what's called the taking. Okay. So based from the taking, which is
We call that
15 feet.
typically the right of way.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
right of
okay.
way. But it's 15 feet on either side of the actual road, and then I have
Right.
to be 35 feet beyond that, which is the requirement of,
The zoning.
zoning.
These
So
houses were further back in the first plan.
in the first design, they were, we pushed them all the way directly up to the 35 foot setback. I mean, as much as possible. I think I think they're all basically, I think they're all up to the 35-foot setback.
My question is, if this indicates they have been revised, they move it closer? Or is
Correct.
that
They've all been moved closer. I mean, they were
Okay.
basically almost at it, but they've been moved closer.
So that's a benefit.
Correct.
So
They
thank
were
you.
all, these first 3 lots were also moved from 8-foot to actually 10-foot basements, and the 10-foot basements were implemented to reduce the amount of fill that had to go in the back. By reducing the amount of fill, we were able to reduce the amount of work done in the buffer as well.
And then, so that just means you're reducing the amount of land disturbance behind the homes because they're closer to the street.
Correct.
So that's a great benefit, in my opinion.
I
The
agree.
next one is that the project has been revised to increase the buffer strip between the project and the resource areas by reducing the amount of undisturbed buffer zone. My reading of this, when I look at the C, so can't even find it now. Was it the 401 plan? Your limit of work is now proposed to be in line with the 100-foot buffer zone. Is that correct? Am I looking at the plan?
No, so our limit of work was moved from this line. So what you're reading there is this dark green.
Yeah.
That is the expanded limit of work. So we went from this line to this line. So we were working in this section before. Now we're not. So that by moving up to the 35-foot setback and by going to 10-foot basements, I mean, we reduced our fill by, I believe, about 50%. It's almost 4,000 cubic yards, but and I mean, this is at, going from 8-foot to 10-foot basement. That's, it's an expense to us. But it greatly reduced our need to go into this area. So we were able to revise our limit of work to this area here. Again, sorry, I don't have my engineer here. He has the exact number on how much it was. I think it was almost a 10%, if not more, increase in the amount of buffer that we were able to give.
Okay, I'm seeing where I was mistaken. The 100-foot buffer goes right up to some of the houses, actually. So I had a question on that. If you have a buffer zone after you build this, if the property owner wants to do anything within that buffer zone, legally they need to go to the Conservation Commission
Yes, they have to ask permission
for anything.
for any type of work, correct?
And then I know what my experience with that is, but that's another story. The limit of work that you're having after you leave, there's nothing to prevent somebody from coming in and cutting down all the trees, except for they have to go in front of the Conservation Commission. There's no added protection to the limit of work. It's just you're not going to be grading or doing anything. Is that correct?
I mean, by law, they have to go in front of the Conservation Commission. I mean, I'm not responsible for
Right.
every person that buys my home, but law-abiding citizens have to go in front of the Conservation Commission to do work. They have to go in front of the conservation to cut down some trees. They are made aware of this before they buy the house.
Yep.
I mean, if someone wants to break the rules, I can't.
I was just checking if there was any other protection for the limit of work, but it's just that you don't go in there and disturb it during construction.
Correct. During construction, we're held to a standard. I know the rest of the neighbors are held to a standard, and
And that limit
the
of
way
work,
it's meant to be. So I do know, like, if it was me, I'd be nervous. I wouldn't just do it, but I know some people do. So
so the limit of work in the darker green is the new expanded area. Is there any map you have that shows where the open space in the other areas, the 20-foot or whatever, I shouldn't call it the 20-foot.
right.
Yep.
So the open space starts in this section. So it's this left line.
Yep.
And then basically anything up to this dotted line is open space.
So there's no additional buffer to the limit
Well,
of
there's
work.
buffers here. There's buffers over
No, I mean,
here.
I'm sorry, you
Open
can't
space?
see. You can't see where I'm pointing because I'm not
No.
live. Down by the infiltration system. There's no,
So
no
I
buffer there.
can't do a limit of work here because I need to create the infiltration system.
Mhm.
The only way to do that is to work in there.
But after you're gone, it means that area is in someone's backyard, so it's not likely to be disturbed.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would have a hard time imagining that anyone who buys this house is going to want to go walk around this and mow this, but I don't know. I do have to stabilize it.
With plantings?
I mean, it's usually stabilized with seed. I don't mind
Or
doing.
With seed
I
or
can
planting?
expand the wildlife seed to this area. That's not an issue for me. As long
But
as
you
the
don't do
engineer-
shrubs or anything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know.
I know that's an added cost. So,
It's not a cost. I'm just trying to make sure that it's engineered correctly.
Yeah.
Work.
I just, I mean, if it's, I mean,
who else is, Michael, who's in the background there?
that's my brother, Tony.
Hi,
Sorry.
Tony.
How you doing?
Good. Can you have the minutes reflect Tony was also here in the background?
Sure, Tony, same last name.
Yep.
Tony Arnolini.
Yes.
All right, I can.
Okay. So,
Sorry, I thought you could see him.
well, we can now.
Nice mask, Tony.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm going to ask my other commissioners if they have any questions. I would say that some of this increased no disturb during construction to the edge of the open space changed my opinion on the value of that open space compared to before.
I agree. I agree with that, Freddie.
If you were constructing right up to it, I don't, and even though it was you and your brother or your uncle driving the truck, stuff happens. But if your limit of work is that, except for in a couple of places where it's a little tight, it seems like it's much more protected. And I think there's great value in what you did moving the houses up. That's my opinion for.
I appreciate what you did with the basements as well. That cost you more money, but it was better in terms of the footprint of this.
So that's a yay on my side for most of this. So Karen, do you want to say anything on what you're seeing here? Or?
Yeah. So Michael, I really think you've made a good effort in terms of using the native plants, planting the trees that are in the Dr. Revere's list, increasing the height of the basement, so that if I understand that correctly, that's decreasing the footprint of the house. And and not building right up to the line there. So I see a lot of effort here in terms of preserving the open space.
I don't think it decreases the footprint, it decreases the amount of disturbance. Is that correct,
I
Michael?
see.
Correct. I knew what she was getting at. So.
Okay.
Just for somebody else watching, I didn't want to have somebody.
No, I appreciate
smaller
being
houses.
corrected because I'm definitely I'm still learning about all this stuff. But
Yeah, we haven't, when I first started, we had a lot of subdivisions all the time and we got well
Mhm,
versed.
mhm.
And this is the first one we've seen in quite a while, I believe. Maybe since Chestnut Hill Road one.
Yeah, could be.
It could be. Sarah, do you want to say something else? I mean, not else, but anything.
No, I agree. I think it looks great, and it's great that everyone works together now, and things have come a long way from what I've, in the past, I guess, with just as far as trees and plants being used, the new, way, it's a new way to do it.
Yeah.
And it's been embraced, it seems, and it's great.
So well, I can't say we because we haven't voted, but I appreciate the effort you put in to look at Dr. Jagir's list and also to make the changes you've made. Now, here's a couple of questions, the tough ones. It says proposed limit of work. I couldn't find your original plan, but I'm not familiar with that term. Isn't it a limit of work, not a proposed? Because proposed means, oh, we could change it later.
No, so it's proposed until the planning board approves it, then it's approved limit of work.
Okay, so you're not proposing it and going to change your mind.
No,
Like,
I can't.
okay.
Like everything you see in front of you right now is proposed. It's just.
So that shows my lack of working on one of these in a while. And then the second question is about the trees. So I'm going to read here. This was on I'm looking at page C201. It appears out in other places. Individual trees that are shown as to remain within limits of work.
Correct. That would be, so we did this with Melissa and conservation, but you see the dark, they're hard to see. I've already told my engineer they're hard to see, but inside the limit of work, I am going to be trying to save these trees. There's
Where are you?
cluster trees here. Can you see me?
No, wiggle your,
You see
so I
it?
can, no. Where
So do
are
you
you?
see number 3?
Yeah, I see number 3 now.
Okay, do you see my cursor?
I do see your cursor.
So you see these dots?
Yeah.
So those are deciduous trees that we're going to be trying to save. So there's deciduous trees here we're saving. There's a couple conifers, deciduous over here, some deciduous here.
Yeah.
Those are all within the limit of work. They're hard to see because there's so much else going on, but there's some trees here.
So maybe it's my understanding of what that means. Within the limit of works is where you're going to be doing the work.
Correct. So within the limit of work is where we're doing the work, and that's where we're trying to save the trees that are within the limit of work.
Okay.
These are trees we're saving outside of the limit of work.
So you're not going to be working there, so we don't have to worry about you cutting anything down there, no matter what size they are, correct?
Correct. And the ones inside the buffer, I would, even if I wanted to cut one down, I have to talk to Melissa first. And then these here are town property, but these ones in here that are outside the buffer or outside of the within the limit of work, those are trees that we are saving.
So it's the next part of this phrase that concerned me. It says, well, I'm not sure about the 12-inch diameter. I thought I heard a smaller diameter before, but that's not I don't think that's our prerogative here. I don't know if that's what everyone had agreed on, 12-inch. But it's the next sentence. It said, anticipated to be saved. based upon construction of the roadway in single-family homes. Individual trees may need to be removed due to the health of the tree or due to the final design of each individual on-site sewage disposal system. So to me, that reads like a big, maybe we're going to save it and maybe not.
No,
Anticipated is squishy.
Again, everything that's in the 100-foot buffer, I gotta ask Melissa first. And then the ones that are outside of that. So, I mean, again, I don't really want to cut down the tree. It causes
I
me
get
more
that.
work. It causes me more costs.
Yep.
It's honestly easier for me to not touch them. But that being said, if I run into an issue with putting this system here, and let's say I need to move it here, I need that flexibility.
I'm going to make a recommendation you may or may not like, that if you had to remove a tree that's marked as staying,
Yep.
that you somewhere plant another tree on the property.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, I see two nodding heads, and you're seeing three. You can't see mine, but you're seeing three nodding open space commission heads. Well, that's a wonderful recommendation that we will put in our letter to the planning board. And we would suggest it be a tree or, from.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I gotta do. Yes, that's not, I don't think that's a huge issue.
Okay. I'm not going to ask for a 12-inch diameter tree in replacement, though.
All right.
I
good.
guarantee you I won't do that. It might be in line with other sizes that they ask for when you plant trees at the planning board.
I think they require a 4-inch caliper.
Yeah, so that would be okay. Are you nodding? Two
Yes.
nods, great. That was easy. You get the prize. And the other question I had is, you've talked a lot about the different tree species on the road and the seeding and then around the infiltration system. Oh, I forgot to ask, in the middle of the cul-de-sac, what is that? It's not a rain garden, but it's a bioretention. And that will get planted, correct?
Yeah, I do know for a fact that it has the butterfly milkweed, but there was 2 other plants, and I don't remember what he said. I'm sorry.
Right. Is there a way, what I'm going to ask for is a list of what you're planting in all of these areas.
Right, everything. So they're in the packet that we sent to the planning. There's 2 lists.
I don't know how I missed them.
So there's the Gagir list, and then there's the list that we got from our.
I remember seeing something.
Does it show? Does it show what you're planting where? That's what I'm looking for. Not just a list.
No, so just usually what I would like to do in taking from those lists, what I would prefer to do is to work with the customer to use and take from their list. And I feel like that's a better way of doing it, just to ensure that we don't end up planting a native, only have it ripped out and put in something that isn't. So,
well, let's step back. We're
Sure.
talking about planting.
Planting
I'm not talking
in
about
the bio. Sure.
I'm not talking about where we never tell people what they have to plant in their own yards.
Okay,
That's
you're talking
not part
about
of the
strictly in the retention area.
the bioretention, the infiltration area where you said you would seed this road that was done that you're going to seed. The front, I don't know if those are real trees.
So what we would do is, give me a second. You don't have the wildlife seed mix in there?
It may be in here. I guess I didn't find it.
Okay,
I'm looking for it right now. I might be able to.
But I'm looking at what is getting planted where. You have some trees going in up front, you said.
Right, so this section here is the road. So what we would do is either put in a combination of I mean, I would think this would be a good spot for the cedars or the red oaks or a combination. Or
So-
if not, we could do,
I'm not designing it for you, although, I'd like to. I just want to know what where you're planning to put what. So like you had this at the road front, you said you were putting some trees in. The red oak.
so the red oak is the 31 trees that go around. So we're planting 31 trees all the way
Oh.
around. Those are
Gonna
the
make-
street trees.
I'm going to make a recommendation there that you might get at the planning board if they haven't already,
Yep.
that you mix it up and not use just one tree because of what happened in Worcester, or what we know, like with the Dutch elm disease, when
Mhm.
may not be on a horizon now, but when a species of tree gets hard hit, whole roadways and neighborhoods become treeless. So like we lost all our elms and streets had no, that was before you were born probably. But the situation in Worcester where they had to take down all the trees because certain trees were impacted.
Right.
I think they may, that's nothing I'm going to tell you, but I'm just making a suggestion. You might want to mix up your trees there.
Okay. I mean, I would just like the uniformity of it, and then it's just I know it's they're on the host list.
I love that they're on the host list. I'm just saying you may want to think about that.
Okay, because I know that because I know the planning board had some issues with using
Maple?
cultivars.
Yeah, no cultivars.
So, but I mean, a lot of their list is cultivar.
It shouldn't be.
So the only other one was and I know we talked about this after, but the Eastern Redbud. But the issue with the Eastern Redbud is
Salt?
salt, and apparently they only have like a 15 to 20-year lifespan.
Okay, good to know.
And I just, for a street tree, and especially a tree that the town's gonna have to take care of, I didn't think that was the right thing to do. I mean, and I was advised that they're better, like
Understory tree. Yeah.
They're like an ornamental kind of
Yeah.
thing, and they said that from the two, I can't think of the word, I don't know why, nurseries that I talked to, that they're not the greatest street salt tolerant tree.
Yeah, it's just, that's good to know. Thank you for doing that research and letting us know.
I was told that the red maple is tolerant, but it's not on the street tree list for the town. They're insult tolerant. So I don't know, but I thought the red oak was a good one.
It is a good tree. Don't get me wrong. I was just
Yeah,
mentioning the concern about
Yeah,
only one species.
they did have the Valley Forge elm, but that's a cultivar, so I didn't know if that was.
So if that's on the town street tree list,
Mhm.
that
Yes,
was
it is.
that was included because it's an elm and because we've lost elms because of the Dutch elm disease, that it was considered a valid reason to allow a cultivar that is disease resistant
Okay.
because we don't have elms. So
Yeah, there just isn't much to choose from salt tolerance for street trees in the guidelines. So it was just
okay.
the red oak seemed like it was the best, longest lasting option.
Well, I will tell you that there's another movement going on with Doug Tallamy, and I'll send you a link to his stuff, but he's a huge fan of oak trees to save biodiversity and birds. So, you're not wrong using the oak tree. I just was concerned about just one tree.
Okay.
You consider that, the planning board will weigh in, I'm sure. But so
But yeah, we can get you, I don't mind having him naming the species for the bioretention area.
the bioretention area, and also defining where you're going to be seeding. So you're not planting any required trees anywhere
No, so there
besides the street
is-
trees. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the street trees. I know there's the wildlife metal mix in here, and I know there's a bunch in here. I don't have that in front of me right now.
So it would be nice to have that as a list, and maybe even in it where it's going, not just the list. If do you know what I mean? Like I'm not
Yep,
asking you to do a full-on landscape
that
plan.
was actually included in the conservation. That was approved with the conservation approval as well. So that is actually located. It's not just me saying we're gonna do it.
All right, that's sort of what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, that's there, and I have
Okay.
to do it, and Melissa and conservation will check it. But
Okay.
that is located.
So
This, like I said, these. I mean, I would think the wildlife mix would probably be more appropriate up front, and then seeing as this is somewhat forested here and here, that it would probably be a mix of the oak and the cedar. And then this section here, I'm going to clean up, and I probably put. I mean, I know I have to most likely end up doing some cedar over here as well.
all right.
Excuse me for interrupting. I'm getting an email from Sam who is trying to join, but the link wasn't working. Is it possible, Melissa, to send him a link as well?
Yeah, just tell him I'll email him to his town email address right now.
Okay, that sounds great.
You know, my phone's been dinging. I wonder how many people are texting me. I'll be honest, I put it away and I just hear it dinging. I don't know where it is, so oops.
So he sent the message at 3:56, but unfortunately I just saw it now. So I just responded to him and told him you'd send him a link, Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay. Sarah, do you have any comments on this plan right now?
No,
Karen, anything else?
No,
All right, so-
I just echo what you said, Freddie, and also what Sarah said, which is that, wow, this feels like such a collaborative process, and that's in contrast to what I've seen in other meetings. So I'm really happy about it. I think it's really great.
So I'm going to recap what I think we're going to take a vote on and
Great.
for our minutes to show.
Yep, I'll capture it in the minutes.
Okay, first is that this isn't, we are not a fan of the narrow strips of open space. That's consensus of the committee.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, that's our position in the past.
Yes.
In this revised plan with the bigger buffer of limit of work, it makes it gives more protection during construction anyhow to the open space. So it makes it more viable, I think. So I'm willing to, the option is setting aside a lot for 3 years that we didn't go into. That's not it wasn't a common used alternative, but it's something we do consider, and we didn't discuss it today because this here seems to be a better plan than what we had in the past in these narrow strips. So we don't like narrow strips, but this has a little bit more buffer. So I'm willing to say we go with the open space as laid out here. And that will be part of the motion that we will recommend to the planning board that while we don't like narrow strips, that we're accepting this one as a what do you want to call it?
We like this one as amended. Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't like it. We don't like narrow strips, but we think it satisfies the requirements. How's that?
Yes.
It satisfies the requirements. So we're not going to object to it. And then we are going to recommend that within the limit of work, any of the trees identified as not to be removed, if they have to be removed, they will be replaced with a tree, and we won't even say where you have to replace it because we won't know where you need to replace it. You'll replace it with a tree that meets the planning board's requirements, which is greater than 4. Is that
A 4-inch caliper.
a 4-inch caliber tree somewhere on the property? And that we want to see we'll want to see the conservation list of where plants are going. But from what we've discussed, that seems good. Is that recapping everything? Did I leave anything out?
And you said the tree would meet the planning board's requirements, meaning that it's a tree from that list.
No, from size, and it would be let's just say a native non-cultivar tree that is greater than 4-inch caliper.
Right.
Location to be left up to the project proponent. I won't say Bartolini Builders because you never know who ends up doing projects sometimes. Although with you, it's usually you, right? I'm not
Always
familiar
us.
with you. What?
Yeah, it's always us. That's
Okay.
not.
Is there anything else? So the 3 things are, and that we're not fans of the narrow strips, but this meets the requirements and we're okay with it with a new buffer. We're going to get a copy of the planting list from the Conservation Commission, and any tree that's removed within the limit of works will be replaced with a greater than 4-inch caliper native straight species tree. Location to be determined by the project proponent. Or I can just say Bartolini Builders. Are you Bartolini Builders for this project?
We're actually properties, but same.
Bartolini Properties. Okay. I think one of you can say so moved, or you can try to repeat what I just said.
Let me give it a shot because I have to capture it in the minutes.
Good.
So I will make a motion that while we don't like narrow strips, we like this one as amended with a new buffer and feel that it satisfies the requirements. We're going to recommend that within the limit of work, any trees identified as not to be removed, if they are removed, will be replaced by a tree 4-inch caliber tree, non-native cultivar somewhere on the property. Location to be left up to Bartolini Properties.
I need you to switch that we like this one.
Okay.
So I still don't like it. I mean, we'll live with it. But
All right.
we find that it is better protected with the new, how's that, better protected, and it meets the requirements, and it has better value with the new limit of work extension. We can accept it.
Okay, I made that change.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. So
Sarah,
that was I just made the motion. Yep.
is there a second?
I second.
Any other discussion? Do you have anything to say, Michael?
No.
Okay. All in favor? Karen?
Karen Cvikovich is in favor.
Sarah?
Sarah Rossitano in favor.
Freddie Gillespie in favor. Yay. So thank you, Michael and Tony, for attending. And
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
this was easier than you thought, I bet, or harder, I don't know.
No, it was a good process to go through. Actually, it was I thought it was
Valuable.
it was very valuable, to be honest.
Oh, good. So thank you. We'll move on to our next agenda item. And what time is it now? Is
It
it
is
4 o'clock?
4:09, and I sent a brief message that I do need to leave at 4:30, unfortunately. for
Yeah,
another
if I
meeting.
can even, thank you. We'll,
Okay, thanks,
we'll
Michael.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Hi, thanks.
4:30. I don't even know if I'm going to last that long. So is Sam Stivers here? Is there anyone else here?
It looks like, let me check the
In the
agenda.
attendees,
Yep,
yes.
Sam is here.
Oh, nobody else could come unless they texted me and I didn't answer it and I didn't let them in. What wasn't I
I'm going
didn't
to
let
add
them in.
Sam to the list of people who are here.
I Attending, okay. Oh, there's my phone. Let's see. I had the plans on top of it, so. I think Mimi was trying to get in. Can somebody email Mimi the,
I'll do it to our town email. I think that's the only one I have.
okay. I wonder if you could watch it on TV.
You can watch it live on YouTube right now, so people can still be watching even if they're not in here.
Okay. I wonder if we were not supposed to share, but in a situation like this, I wonder if I could have shared my link. Do you know if people can get in when that happens?
They can, but they would come in directly as a panelist as you.
Oh, I see that. So there'd be 2 Freddie Gillespies?
Correct.
Ooh, that could be fun. All right, so put the agenda up, and I'm glad we spent the time on that review, because it was good for us to also know, you know, like in the next one, the types of things we're looking at. Karen, can you put the agenda up for me?
Sure. So I started taking notes in the agenda because it was hard to have both up at the same time. So you can
All right.
see my notes. I won't share that.
Okay.
So instead, I'll scroll down and just say the next topic is the
All right.
OSRP project partnership.
All right. I'm going to say, and I said this at the beginning, I wasn't feeling well, so I want, and you have to leave at 5:30, so 4:30.
4:30.
So I don't know if you can just do this and like table everything except for a few ones I'm going to pick out that we need to discuss
Perfect.
before.
That sounds great. Yep.
All right. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to read everything. I think we can do that. We're tabling everything except for the ones I pick out. Is that all right?
Sounds great.
All right. So I'm going to skip the OSRP one, wildlife habitat certification. I just want to announce that we need to work on this and be ready. Remember we had our big Planet Palooza?
Yes.
Melissa, you're here, right? She may not be.
I'm here. Yeah, sorry. I'm flitting around my house, but I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Are you planning anything for Earth Day this year? Last year you had a
I'll probably do my poster contest again.
all right, because we want to coordinate with you and help make it a big Planet Palooza, whatever we can do within the confines. We had 2 library talks last year that we canceled. I want to reach out and see if they would do them, whether it's virtual. I don't know that we're going to be ready to be back in person by April, but I'd like to start doing some programming. One was on moths and the other one was on edible plants. And the edible plant one, we could even maybe do an outside walk with Russ Cohen. So if you guys are in agreement, I will reach out to them again to see about getting them back into play, okay?
Great.
All right, so that's the 50th anniversary of Planet Palooza. And then we'll kick off our wildlife habitat certification then. Also, Sarah? All right. Another, yeah, that's different. Native Pollinator, Native Plant Initiative. As you know, it was hugely successful and it just never stopped. I
It was
think we're up to,
unbelievable. I hadn't sent you the pictures of last weekend for me, but it was just amazing. All town participation, really great.
I think we ended up with well over 700 seed packets distributed, and we have National Honor Society students using it as their volunteer hours. The next step, I think we need to do some webinars on how to, if we agree, what next? You know, like what do you do with the seedlings and how not to, you know, you have to first you have to wait a while and wait and wait, and then some other things. But the other big news is this garden project at the library. So we're going to start doing the one working with the library on the section they gave us, and we're going to start planning that. I'm going to meet Ryan on Monday if either of you want to join me. And I don't know the exact time. But the other thing is the DPW got a grant for a pocket park pollinator garden, and they have sent me the plan, and I'll send that out to you. It has, that's the shared spaces I already sent to you. Sorry, that was what that was. A lot of the plants are on Dr. G. Gear's list, but there are some plants like cultivars and stuff that aren't so great, and we can make recommendations. So with your permission, I'm going to, I mean, I can do it myself, but I'd like it to come from the Open Space Commission that we want to add more just straight species only. We agree to that, and just Robert G. Gear's plants to the best of their ability. We don't have the ability to design this, but we can weigh in. If you two are in consensus with that, I can send it from the Open Space Commission.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully supportive of that.
Sarah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I was excited to get that email.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. So this not just native plants, but pollination preservation, and Dr. G. Gear's work is taking off across the state. And obviously someone was excited enough to have this that it made it a more fundable project maybe. I think at some point we want to do the webinars, and that was suggesting to you, Sarah, for maybe setting up people who have already certified their wildlife habitat in their yards. Maybe in the spring we could take videos.
You mean videos, not a
Oh yeah,
webinar.
sorry. I sidetracked. Yeah, maybe
Snippets or whatever, forget the name.
a little video, the snack pack. Having
Yeah.
different, we know some people have already certified their land. I think it'd be cool to have them take a tour around their yard and what part of the certification, what they looked at, and where their plants and shelter and water are. I think we want to try to start doing that. So that's I guess you want to add that as a snack pack for videos, Karen, in the notes.
I wonder if, would it be good to do one now while it's snow covered, just showing what can be seen and my 15 or so containers that I just planted of the seeds, and then when it melts and things start growing, because then I could, maybe they could be put together to show different seasons and how things progress maybe.
Yeah, get out there with your video camera. Do you have a friend to video you?
Do I
Your
have to be on
sons?
it?
Well, it's kind of nice. Says the lady in a black box without a video. The other thing going up is I skipped over this, the pollinator habitat with salt. We're going to start planning, getting volunteers, and we have somebody who's going to help us with that as a volunteer. And then starting to build like we did at Breakneck Hill, the ecology research garden. That's going to need some sort of soil prep with the cardboard box thing we did. So all of those volunteer efforts are going to start happening, and I'll reach out. That's being reached out through the SALT membership with another volunteer for us. And eventually when we get further on in the garden project, so there's 2 gardens at the library, right? One is not at the library, it's the shared spaces. But the one at the library, we're going to have to develop some volunteers to help with that. Okay, so that's that. Annual report. Karen, I reviewed your list. I'm hoping to put it in more of a narrative form, and I got a notice from the town that we have to have that by Monday. So I might take a stab at it unless you wanted to stab at.
That we have to have what? I'm sorry, by Monday? The annual report, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, interesting.
Okay, so we'll submit that by Monday. And do you have anything you want to talk about the master plan right now, or can we meet later?
Yeah, just a really fast update, which is that I've been working really closely with Kat in the Trails Committee, and I've started working with Kristen Lavault as well. And what we are doing is using the 2008 plan as a template. Sam knows this. And we're making modifications, but we're trying to reformat it in such a way that the chapter on open space and green initiatives primarily centers around the goal areas and specific recommendations that I've shared with you previously. So we're moving forward. We're closing in on actually finishing up the master plan.
All right. So both Sarah and I, if they're moving in to finish up, need to look at it. I know we've looked at it numerous times. Karen has been amazing by keeping us in the loop. But we do want to be sure that some of our new initiative, which was not even, I don't think it was even a dream at the time we did the open space and rec plan when that started. I don't think we were talking about the native plants. Want to make sure that's adequately represented in the new.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
I think we did, but I don't know
when we
for sure.
reach the next version, we do actually reference the Native Plant Pollinator Garden Initiative and the work we've been doing with invasive species and Breakneck Hill. But this is an opportunity just to doubly check. So as soon as we get to the next version, I'll send it to you again. Also, what we've talked about, which I think is a great time for us to really display some of the good work that's been done, is also including pictures and accomplishments since 2008, of which Breakneck Hill is a huge one. So thinking about how we can best illustrate that in the master plan would be good as well.
Okay. Yeah, and we may have stuff in bloom by the time that happens, and who knows, the library project might be moving forward. The shared spaces needs to be done something crazy like by the end of May. Because of the grant requirements. So that's interesting. I want to skip the town-owned open space review. We need to do it, but we don't have time today, and I can't look at anything else. Ongoing projects recap. The only thing, maybe we can meet soon to go over that. Okay. And then does anyone have anything else when I whip through this that you wanted to go over? Did I skip anything you want to speak to?
No, not for me. I mean, I would actually like, perhaps we can add this to our agenda for our next meeting, that I go through in more detail the draft of the chapter that Kat and Kristen and I are working on. Because I think if I send it ahead of time and then we review any additions that you think you need, then we can make sure that our voice is really heard in that process.
All right, so we want to have a meeting that has a focus on the master plan.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to do. On ongoing projects, I just wanted to weigh in that there's a planning board hearing on the downtown initiative on Monday night, and we haven't weighed in yet, and we already had done a weigh-in on what we sent before. So I'm thinking if it's applicable to the new bylaw, because we haven't reviewed the newest version, but if there's some parts of it that are the same as the ones we weighed in on, that I just send those comments to the planning board from us.
That sounds great. I stopped sharing just because I'm finishing up typing up the minutes here, but if you want me to continue sharing, Freddie, I can.
No, I don't need to share anything else because we know what the next agenda item is. But is everyone all right if I do that? We already voted on those.
I'm totally fine with that. Yeah.
We should weigh in, I think, if I can get to it, if I'm not sicker. But I'm expecting to be really healthy and happy tomorrow. So is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 4:24.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Sarah?
Sarah Azatano in favor.
Karen?
Karen Svikovich in favor.
Freddie Gillespie in favor. All right, thank you. Sorry to anyone who had trouble getting in. That was beyond our control. It's recorded so you can watch